you can let some of those sadness, some of that grief transmute itself, leave the body so that there's more room for joy. I just did an exercise today. This was really fun. So, you see, the greatest thing is, there's all the different things in the Bible, and it says, and the greatest of these is love. And this is the healer part of me. Often I use love to do my healings. I mean, that is not often, always. I use love to do my healings. It's unconditional love. And I take the same into doing my design practice. As I'm going into the house with unconditional love for these clients, for this house, and what does it need, right? So my practice towards the house, towards my client is the same as when I'm doing healing a body. Where's the pain? What do we need to fix? What do we need to release? And off it goes. So today I was working on somebody, and what she needed was joy. Now, there's a study, and I'll be honest, I don't know the exact numbers, but a child laughs like all the time, right? A child will just pick up something, ah, ha, ha, ha. They're always laughing. You especially get like a 2-year-old or a baby. A baby finds its fingers and it stares at them and it just starts laughing. It finds its toes and it'll start laughing, you know? And as adults, we don't laugh so much. And what we need is laughter. We're supposed to laugh, not just ha ha. As adults, we do a lot of ha ha. Oh, that was funny, ha ha. We're supposed to have belly laughs every day. Child has belly laughs every day. That little child figuring out her fingers or his fingers. And you find they're laughing, and it's deep laughter, right? So this client needed joy. And I remembered when I was a kid, there was a book that we had, and there was a movie about it. It's called The Little Prince. It's a rather famous book. And one of the things, the recurrent theme in this book is it was the innocent laughter of the little boy that rippled across the planet, that echoed through the planet, that brought the flower back to life, that was one of the main things that made this planet feel alive. And so that's what we did, is we took that innocent laughter of a child and I just energetically filled her with joy. And it made such a big difference. And we can do this with our house too. Because, our house absorbs all the energy that happens in it. You're stressed out. There's fights. There's worry. There's all kinds of things. And the house absorbs it all. The house is there to help you transmute some of these feelings. The house is there to help you along your process in life. And so it will try to absorb all the negative stuff. But kind of like, if you've ever been in a house where there's somebody who smokes all the time, and what happens, the walls become yellowed with nicotine. And you can paint the walls, and the nicotine will still go through the paint, and it still smells like smoke. So the negative energy in a house can do the same thing. So what we've got to do is clear it out. So if you've been going through a lot, you can take that joy, that sound of that child laughter, and just feel the reverberation of that going through your house, and you want it to soak into your walls. And let the house feel that. Because you're going through grief, you're going through depression, you're going through, a really busy time at work, whatever it is, that's in the walls. So we want to fill that with laughter. So it's good to open the windows, let air in, play your music that makes you feel good. No, you don't want to be playing music that, you know, is all mean and angry and sad. You know, what's the old Elton John sad song say so much? But it's kind of a happy song, isn't it? So we want to feel that happy music in the house, in ourselves. And that's a great way to change the energy. So you can just listen to that sound of that children laughter, that child laughing, and feel that in your heart. Feel it reverberating out through you, through your aura, through the house, and through the property edges. It's incredible. So that's what I did. I had a healing session this morning. It was so cool because when we started hearing that laughter, it just kept echoing and echoing and getting louder and more beautiful. And then colors came in, and there's all these beautiful colors roaming around, and in her and in the house, and it was so incredible. So, and it was like that part of the healing session was maybe only 5-10 minutes. So this is something simple you can do in your own house. And there's something called laughter yoga. So what laughter yoga is, so simple. You're afraid of yoga poses and all that. No, all it is you start laughing. Now, what's really fun when you do this in a group is one person starts laughing, and you want to get belly laughs. And at first it's hard, it's a little bit forced, but you just keep doing it. But then other people start doing it too, and then you start laughing with each other. It's contagious. Laughter is contagious. And so once you start doing the belly laughing, even if it's by yourself, you can do the belly laughing and just keep going, and it's fun. There are some videos out there on laughter yoga. I have a friend, her name is Linda Shively, and she does have some YouTube videos on laughter yoga, so you can find those. And it really is kind of fun. You might feel silly at first, but it's fun. Hey, Mark.
Hey, you mean I can laugh and do yoga at the same time?
You can, and it's really easy yoga because all you have to do is just laugh.
Just laugh, and it's yoga.
I don't know why they call it yoga, but they do.
They call it laughter yoga.
That's what they
Cool.
call it.
Well,
It's not laughing with goats either. I mean, I suppose you could if that floated your boat, if that works for you, then hey. But I don't think you have to have goats. No,
you don't have to have goats to
you
laugh
don't
with the
have to have
goats.
goats. No.
I thought I had to have a goat to laugh with the goats, and now you tell me I don't have to have goats to laugh with the
You
goats.
don't have to have a goat to laugh with the goats. Although I suspect if I have not done the goat yoga, I have not done that yet. I don't know if I want to or not, but at
Well,
the
I'm thinking
moment,
about I'm trying to figure out, because scheduling is my big issue because there's 1,001 things that I'm involved in. But there is a horticultural event or like a farm and gardening event at Hayti at the end of this month at that particular venue that I work at. But that same day is the day that down the road, 3 hours down the road, if it was around the corner, it wouldn't be a problem. That the daybreakers, as you know, those are the folks that do these morning dance parties and meditation. And they started, I think, in New York and have definitely done it in California where they're going to be. And they were worldwide during the pandemic because I actually got my dance groove on doing a couple of their sessions and everything. But they're going to be in Charlotte and I really want to go. But then I've also got an event at Hayti. So maybe I got to figure out a way to get there early in the morning, go do their thing, get us a friend to drive me back in time to be back for work. But that could be a lot of activity. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to pull it off. But stranger things have happened.
there you go. There you go.
We'll see if it all works out or doesn't work out. But I'm liking this idea of the laughing yoga and everything in that space. And you mentioned St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
actually with an ex a long time ago. And it was not a ex that ended all that well. A lot of times they don't. But we actually conducted a St. Patrick's Day parade. So they had a comedy troupe and they actually put their troupe, which was a kind of an improv troupe, into the St. Pat's Day parade. I think we did Christmas parade once or twice, and then we did a St. Pat's Day during the time that I was with that particular person. But they definitely had some innovative ideas, including being in the St. Pat's Day parade. So, like I said, they had some
Cool.
good qualities in addition to the bad qualities. But yes, I think I even wore some green that particular day and all along those lines. So don't have any green on today, but maybe I'll get some green on before the
I
actual
didn't tell
schedule.
you. So, to my knowledge, LA does not have a St. Patrick's Day parade. If it does exist, I don't know about it. But in Chicago, I think it's so cool. They turn the river green. Now, what that does to the animals, who knows? And the river is not blue to start with. It's kind of a muddy brown anyway. So getting it's probably like the color here, and then getting it brighter green is maybe not a huge stretch. I don't know.
Well, I'm just thinking, because I know you're into colors and you're into, just like me, I am, the animals as well. And I do wonder what it does to the animals. I heard that a popular destination in Florida is being shuttered. So Seaquarium is about to be shuttered, and all along those lines, because apparently they are being evicted out of their space in Florida, because I think that there were some cases of them abusing the animals, which is not a good thing. But I was just thinking, because, one of my favorite characters used to be Kermit on Sesame Street, and they had did those whole songs about it's not easy being green, and all along those lines. Of course, he had that love affair with Miss Piggy and everything in that space. But I'm thinking that certain animals that were already green when they dyed the river green, that they're probably sitting there going like, "Why are you making me greener? I'm already I'm a frog," or some of the other animals that are already green. They're probably going like, "I don't get it." Like the fish, they're silver, so they might like the change in contrast because it gives them a different color and everything. So they might like the change in contrast. But the ones that are already green, they're probably going like, "You humans have lost your minds. We're already green, so why are you making us greener?"
I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to go see it, although I've been told that it's a pretty raucous party, but I still think it'd be cool to go see the Green River. The other problem with that is it's Chicago in March. I
Which
went
means
to
it can still be
Chicago
cold.
August, and I brought my wool coat and I had 3 layers of clothing on and I was still cold. So I'm thinking, oh no, it wasn't August. It was June. I went to Chicago in June, and it was, oh my gosh, so cold. And I mean, it's a beautiful city, gorgeous, gorgeous city. I mean, even the trash cans are like artwork. It really, it's a wonderful place. But I'm like, can I go there in March? How many layers of clothes, do I need to wear?
Trying to
But
figure
I
out what
still
you
think
got
it
to
would
wear.
be I think it would be fun to go see the Green River and, go find a good Irish pub to go have some green beer or whatever. I don't know what you
They
do.
do have green beer, and of course, those Irish pubs can be very popular, just like the English pubs can be popular. I know that we've got a pub here. I think it's English oriented, but they are very much fans of the soccer teams because I think that that is the headquarters, or at least one of them is the headquarters. I know London Bridge, which is in Raleigh, is the headquarters for Manchester United, and I can't remember which rugby team that the Bull McCabe roots for. But yeah, there are folks that have put their stamp on their culture in the different areas because there's a Zimbabwean restaurant here, and then there's Rue Claire that I think opened up the film festival yesterday, if I remember correctly. And I think that that's French pastry. So yes, these foods can be represented as well. I'm not sure what Irish folks what their main dish is, other than anything that might be potato related. And
Potatoes.
potatoes,
Potatoes.
yes.
I think it's very similar to English food, but I don't know. I did go to Ireland very long time ago. I spent a week there, and I had spent a semester in England, and I don't remember the food being terribly different.
Mhm.
Shepherd's pie, lots of potatoes, and we're also staying. Um, we were staying in youth hostels, so we had a few breakfasts there. I didn't get the like when I was in England and I would go to B&Bs instead of doing the youth hostel because the B&Bs gave you such big breakfasts that it really counted for breakfast and lunch. And honestly, when you put the price of breakfast and lunch in, it was about the same cost of the youth hostel. And honestly, it was a much nicer arrangement. So I did that. I felt a little safer too, traveling by myself.
Mhm.
So it was just better. And but with the youth hostels, you're eating we're eating a little bit less traditional food, I guess, because it was just like what we would grab, you know.
Yeah.
We did eat at some restaurants, but I don't remember anything really sticking out. I think
Gotcha.
it was just kind of
Just kind of what there, kind of maybe bland and everything. There's another, you mentioned St. Patrick's Day, and I think that that's in about a week and everything. But there's another, some people like it, some people don't like it, but I don't know if there's a color associated with it. Is there a color associated with the daylight savings time? Because apparently old Ben decided to come up with this idea, and there are some people that wanted it to go away, and there's some other places that it has gone away. But definitely that's something that we got to think about, because I think it's this Sunday that we're supposed to always get it back. It's fall, spring forward, fall back. I think is the way it goes. So we'll be springing forward. Right.
yes.
So we'll be springing forward. So we'll be gaining an hour of
I
rest,
don't
suppose.
think there's a color. I mean, I could probably put something with it. I mean, I I would go green because spring is green and we're dealing with change, which is green. So if I had to put a color, I'd probably do like a bright green.
Right.
Yeah. But speaking of colors,
Yes.
um, so one thing that I deal with a little bit is feng shui.
Okay.
That's another way you can change the energy in your house, change the luck in your house. And I you can do that with colors. So there's a lot of different ways to use feng shui. I do not claim to be a feng shui expert. I will be the first to tell you I am not a feng shui expert, but what I am an expert in is energy.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with a feng shui person before, and we came up with the same stuff. So that was pretty interesting to see how the two related. We have different approaches, but we have the same thing. So feng shui, there's some basics of feng shui that to me are just common sense. Like you don't put a chair in front of a door because you're blocking the chi. You're blocking the entrance. Um, you want to keep good airflow going through the house. Another thing that's not good is having, when you come into your house and having the entrance to the stairs going immediately up. That's not good. But see, the thing with feng shui too is that there's several different kinds. It's kind of like Protestant religions. So there's a very basic kind where you take the grid. There's a grid of 9 squares, and each square is a different part. There's health, there's love, there's money. That's what most people care about. There's family. Um, so each of the spaces on the grid has to do with a particular part of your life. And you can fortify that area in certain ways to get more. So everybody asks about the money corner, right? Because we all that's a bit. It's money and love. That's the one that everybody
Yeah,
asks about.
everybody wants money and love. And speaking of money and love, I just happened to hear, that's why I turned back and everything, because there is this other item that kids love, people love dearly. And I just heard it. And matter of fact, if I wasn't rushing off myself, I might go grab something myself. But I heard the lovely bell known as an ice cream truck. I'm pretty sure that was an ice cream truck that was coming through the building and everything. And I'm going like, wait a minute. There are kids that are going to get ice cream, and they will probably get ice cream, and then they'll probably eat it in the house, and they'll probably get on the furniture, and that might upset the feng shui, because then you've got to clean up the mess that the ice cream
It
made.
might upset mom. I mean, the mess will upset feng shui, but it's gonna upset mom more than anything. As long as it gets cleaned up, it's fine.
Well, they clean up the mess after they get the ice cream cone. Like this literally is, that's what caught my ear. I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like the ice cream truck, and all along those lines. So yeah, they might make mom a little bit upset. Feng shui is actually kind of even popular here because we have, and I've told you this before, a popular summer festival. It's in July. It's our Festival, which is at our one of our state parks, and it is very much around um, protecting the environment and protecting Mother Nature and a number of other things. But I can tell you that I think every year, at least for the last 15 or 20, the feng shui community is there giving a demonstration. So they are very active and are oftentimes giving demonstrations. I think they might also give it for our city festival, which is called Centerfest in September. But I know they are always there and have been there for a number of years and the one in July. So I'll probably be seeing them in about, what is it, March, April, May, June, July, in about 4 months. So in about 4 months, I could be running across some of those feng shui people. But for those that are watching, they're hearing you say feng shui, they just heard me say feng shui, and they're going like, what the heck is this feng shui? What is feng shui?
So feng shui is a Chinese method of working with the energy in the home.
Okay.
And so I'm going to tell you the easiest way. There's several different ways. Like I said, it's like different Protestant religions. I know people that do at least 3 different kinds. And, it's just how do you get to the end? So the simplest way of doing it is you have your grid. It looks like a tic-tac-toe square, and each square is meant towards a different part. So if you're looking at a tic-tac-toe square, the upper left corner is your money corner. And your upper right corner is your love corner. And so those are the ones people always ask about. Now, the simplest way of doing this is you take this grid and you apply it to any room in your house. And you start at the bottom. So the bottom middle tic-tac-toe spot is the wall where the door to the room is in. The main door to the room. So you may have, like my living room has 3 doors in it. So which one? So one is the front door. So that's the main entrance of the house into the house. And then there's 2 doors. One goes in the kitchen, one goes into the dining room. So I'd go from that door. Now then there's the dining room, and then there's a door on one side of the dining room, and then there's another door going into the hallway. So the main entrance of the dining room is the one going from the living room to the dining room. So you stand at the doorway, and then you apply this grid to the room, and you can fortify whatever you want. So let's say you're looking for money. So the top left corner is your money corner. You can do things like put a plant in that corner. You can, green. You can put something green in that corner. You want to put green in that corner because that's going to bring in money. I need to double check all my colors. I don't remember all the colors on this because I don't use it a lot. I go through other senses. But if you're wanting to go on a vacation, if you're wanting a certain amount of money. So years ago, somebody gave me, it's fake, but it's $1 million bill. And you put it on the computer so you can, this is what I'm working for, right? So you can put something like that there. Another thing you can do is maybe you have a picture there of a place you want to go when you get your $1 million, or a house you want to have when you get your $1 million. You can also put something on the back of it. So you can write yourself a check for $1 million and put it on the back of it. So some of feng shui has to do with your own personal energy of what do I see every time I look at this? Okay. And you want to build, like if you want to go on a trip to, I don't know, to England. So you want to go to England. So you would go to your money corner, or there's a travel corner, and you would put a picture of where it is you want to go there. And it works, and that you're creating the energy, but also every time you look at it, you're like, yeah, I'm saving for that. Yeah, when I get paid, you're putting X amount of money into a savings account for it. When you're tired and you don't want to do that extra job, or you don't want to do whatever, you want to go looking for some extra work to get there, that's going to inspire you to do it. So there's a little bit of a law of attraction stuff going on. It's like, okay, what do I need to keep me going on the path to create that? You're also putting the energy of that being real in the space. So if you've worked with vision boards, it's just another way of doing that. With a vision board, you're looking at every day, you're feeling it, you're so this is another way of doing that. There are, I don't get into all the fixes with metal. It does get into the energy wheel, which is metal, earth, air, wood, wood, and then sometimes they add a fifth element. The fifth element is water. No, the fifth element is metal. So it's water, wood, air, metal, and earth. And each of the squares is related to one of those elements, and you can fix it. You can add remedies to it by using one of the other elements. So maybe you need more wood in a corner that is weak. So you can put a wood chair there. You can put a wood sculpture there. That's kind of one of the easier fixes. Adding metal to a space is a little bit harder. That's why you go into a lot of Chinese restaurants, and a lot of them will have fish bowls or they'll have fish tanks, because water is a great way to bring money in. That's a feng shui remedy.
Don't a lot of them also have stuff to say about orientation? Because you mentioned earlier about the chair, and I know some people that don't necessarily want a chair. They don't want to sit in the chair facing backwards, like the chair being against the doors, because then they don't see which way the people are entering. So they like to position the chairs in such a way that they can see should somebody enter, and all along those lines, and enter unexpectedly. So I do know that
It's a feng shui thing, and anybody who is any kind of job of protection or warrior, policemen, firemen, soldiers, wannabes of any of those, they will never sit in any room with their back to the door.
Right.
People who are very security conscious, some of them are there because that's who they are. Some of them are there because stuff has happened to them. A lot of people are in law enforcement or law enforcement related industries, very aware of everybody in the room. And they will never sit with their back to the door because they want to see everyone who's coming in. Okay. And they're just more intentional about looking at that than maybe the rest of us. Yes, having your desk with your back to the door is something that is an issue. Now, it's very interesting because I did actually have somebody who did feng shui on my house years ago. And ideally, you need to change. Each year has a different energy. Start getting into a lot of different signs and stuff that, I'll be honest, there's better people than me can explain it. But so you have to do updates. You can get your house done, but then every year you got to get a little bit updates. That's not as heavy an expense. But this feng shui person said that my desk needed to be on the opposite wall. So you can kind of see I've got windows to the side of me. There's a wall behind me. The wall over there has got the door in it. And it's kind of a big door. Somebody expanded it. I don't know why. And that leads into the hallway. And then there's a door in front of me. There's a wall in front of me. This is where my desk is. And I have a big desk. It's a computer cabinet. And it's really cool. And she said that it needed to go on the back wall behind me. So the wall that you're seeing, where the sofa is and the picture is. And I said, no, I don't like that, because where I can sit here, there's a door in my hallway. And I can sit here, I can see the door in the hallway that goes outside. And at the time, my cat would like to go out, and she would come peek in the window and say, it's time for me to come in.
Yeah. So, yeah, they'll do that in a minute. They will definitely sit there and observe you and figure it out, tell you, come on, it's time to come back in the house.
Right.
But with feng shui and everything, is there ways that you can maybe get it done in a way that makes things even more alignable and everything? And I'll just give you an example. I know that is a site like LinkedIn, but I meant it in the sense of being aligned and everything when I said alignable and everything. But that being said, like if you take a look at my kitchen, and nobody can see it, and I'm not going to turn the camera because the rest of the house looks like a mess. But that being said, in that space, there is so many things that make sense. Like there is a dishwasher. On top of the dishwasher is a microwave. Next to that is a sink for washing the dishes, and then there's an oven. All of this is food related. Right across is a island and several cabinets. Some that have uh, dishes and plates. Some that I'm using for other reasons, or ask me why. Because for storage and things along those lines. And then there is the refrigerator across from what I described as the oven and the microwave and everything. But if somebody was to come into the room and say one of these things doesn't fit into the picture, it would probably be, and I don't think it's just my apartment, there's several of these apartments because I've been in some friends' apartments. There's also next to the refrigerator a washer and dryer. People will go like, "Why is there a washer and dryer next to all the food items?" But I guess that's the only place that they could store it at that particular time. But I was thinking, like, from an alignment standpoint, that has nothing to do with food. Everything else is food related in the kitchen, but the washer and dryer.
So I have seen several kitchens where usually it's not next to the fridge,
Mhm.
but the depth there fits,
Right.
and so it is. Now in England, and I would venture to say Europe, their refrigerators are a lot smaller than ours,
Yeah.
and it is very common to have a washer dryer in that room. It's from a standpoint of construction, you've got all the pipes that you need there. You've already got gas in the kitchen, you've already got your water in the kitchen. So there there's some definite building advantages to
Right.
having it there. Um, but I don't particularly like it. The washing machines that they have in Europe are a lot smaller than ours,
Yeah.
and so they look like cabinetry. That's part of it. Um, so it
Well,
does seem like a
maybe.
weird place for it to me as well.
Yeah.
But if you have, you know,
And I think that they were doing what you just said. It was because that's where the pipes are and where a lot of the things is, and because of the space, and these are not big apartments and everything. So my guess is that that's why they put it there. But lately, I've been playing on the phone these kind of like spot the difference kind of games because there's one that I downloaded where you'll try to spot the differences in the two pictures. It'll be the identical person, but they might have like a button in place, or the might they have an emblem or a hat, or they'll have different other things. And then I used to be a big fan of the one of these things doesn't fit, and that's kind of what this reminded me of. Was everything else that I just described was all kitchen related. The washing machine is not necessarily kitchen related. So that's what I was thinking, that if you were going to play that particular game, that's the one that I think everybody's beginning like, that doesn't fit.
well, you have an island, so that alone says your kitchen must be a decent size. But
Yeah.
I've noticed too, um, the houses I see in the south are, and maybe because the ones I've been seeing are more newer, newer.
Newer.
Um, Everybody has an island, and they all everything's the great room. Here, not everything's the great room, and I like older houses anyway because I don't like the whole great room thing. People think it's so cool; it makes the house look bigger, and in my opinion, it does the opposite. It may look bigger, but functionally speaking, it's a lot smaller because you lose a lot of storage. Lose a lot of storage, and if you have a wall, then separating a room, you
Right.
can actually put more furniture than
Okay.
if you don't have the wall there. Um, and then, because you need to have more space than a wall would be
Right.
to create the next room, there has to be like a walkway between. You have to visually create the other room. Um, my house, it's a very interesting layout, and it's one that has, boggled me a little bit sometimes. But so the whole front of the house is the living room. And then there's one door that goes to the dining room and one door that goes into the kitchen. And I have a friend, and every time she comes in the house, she goes, "You should take that wall in the middle down." So the wall in the middle is only about 5 feet. And then there's a door on either side, and then there's like 4 or 5 feet the other way. So on either side of the door. And I'm like, no. First of all, I don't want to walk in the house and the first thing I see is my kitchen, which is not always perfect. In fact, many times it's not perfect. Um, I don't want to see the kitchen first thing. That really bothers me. But secondly, my house was built in 1926. There's not storage here.
Right.
So two major pieces of storage I have are on either side of that wall. And they create an artistic background, and they also have high functionality. The one on the other side, we redid our kitchen and we did the plan, and I had to redo the kitchen because there was, and I'm only admitting to one, four-legged, long-tailed creature that was coming in the house. And in order to safeguard it from him and any of his friends, we had to redo half the kitchen. I said, well, that's stupid. We're not going to redo half the kitchen. And so there's that wall is a little bit part of a walkway. And I thought, I don't want to just put more cabinets there. It felt too heavy. It was too big. And I didn't know what I wanted to do there. I said, we're just going to leave it. And I found this really beautiful old barbershop piece. And it's only like 6 inches deep. But it's the perfect thing there. Having something 24 inches, even having something 12 inches there, just was too heavy. But this is the perfect thing to have there. And if that room was just open, first of all, there's flooring changes as well. And like, I'd have to have different flooring in there. It just opens up a whole bunch of issues that I don't like. And now there's really, I couldn't have either of those pieces of furniture there without the wall. And they're both major storage pieces for me.
I'm just thinking to myself because you mentioned these four-legged critters, and I'm thinking to myself that means that probably Mickey and Minnie were having their house remodeled, and they didn't know that necessarily they wanted the house
Wasn't
remodeled.
Mickey and Minnie.
It wasn't
It was
Mickey.
more like Templeton.
It was more like Templeton's.
It was more like Templeton
Okay.
from Charlotte's Web. Yeah, it was more like Templeton.
Oh yeah, those are not good
It
guesstimates.
wasn't Mickey and Minnie. It was more like Templeton, and that just was not okay.
No, that Templeton was not good.
I mean, I'm
Templeton was,
not fond of Mickey and Minnie either, but Templeton is not okay.
Templeton was not okay.
Templeton was not okay.
That when Templeton in the house, Templeton was Templeton didn't need to be trying to get his house remodeled or anything along those lines. Speaking of remodeling, I know that here in this apartment complex, and there are some uh, neighbors of mine that have been actually pushing back on what the complex wants to do and everything. I'm actually not opposed because I sometimes think that it gives houses and even apartments character. But I do know that sometimes apartments do not like outside furniture. I actually think outside furniture can give a nice appeal to a place depending on how it's done. Because I know that I was walking up, I think, to the bus stop of the convenience store, and a young couple yelled down at me. They're like, "How you doing?" They're saying hello and everything, but they had like some nice lawn chairs outside, and I think technically speaking that would be against the rules, but it looked like it was a nice thing to have outside, and it gives them some chances to enjoy the outside and enjoy it on some outside chairs. But I just didn't know how you felt about outside.
I think that outdoor furniture is really important. I think that living in an apartment, your porch can sometimes be a huge haven for you.
Right.
It's a great place to put plants. It's a great place to have stuff. The only thing I can guess that maybe there's somebody who's got some really ugly plastic furniture or ratted, the metal's all rusted or something. And it's kind of like sometimes you got to throw the bathwater out with the baby out with the bathwater. And if there's somebody that has something that they don't like, they just have to make a rule.
For everybody.
Years ago, my ex was teaching, and they had people wearing T-shirts with vulgar pictures on them. It's high school, so it's high school. High school kids do what they do, but they were wearing T-shirts with some vulgar things on them, And so they said no printed T-shirts. You can't wear anything that has any kind of pictures on it. So you could wear stripes or you could wear if it was the fabric, but you couldn't have anything that was printed on it.
Hmm.
And that caused a big rumpus. One of the parents got an American flag and put it on a T-shirt and sent the kid with it. And it's like, but that wasn't what they were fighting against. They didn't want to. I mean, some of these things they were fighting were pretty vulgar, and they didn't want that in the classroom. And I can understand that. And you know, it's the whole where does art become pornography? Is it, is David pornography? Is David art? And people like to get in this game of where does it draw the line, and you'll talk to some people who are very, very religious, and for them David is pornography.
You got some people, yeah, just like what happened with and I got it that some people were upset, but I actually wrote a editorial piece in a magazine about it. But I do remember the whole Maplethorpe controversy and everything, where some people were feeling that he was defaming the religious symbols. But I think we were trying to make a artistic statement, and I let him have that. I think I defended him in the
Well,
editorial I wrote.
they did actually, because if you go back to a lot of the 1500s stuff, a lot of that stuff was, but then they went back in, and as things got more conservative, they did go back in and paint over some of these things.
Yeah.
They did, because they found them crude. So, and it's funny because like when you really ask people what's the difference between art and pornography, like we all kind of know the line. And but then you try to put it in words. Is it somebody naked? Well, not necessarily. Is it what they're doing? I mean, but we all do know. I mean, when you're looking, if you want to go look at art, you know what you're looking for. If you want to go look at pornography, you know what you're looking for.
But there have been some artistic pictures. I mean, there have been, even in some of the major museums, some literal art depictions of sexual acts and everything.
Yeah, well, there's some famous ones. There's
Right.
some famous ones. There's the raping of, what's her name? I can't remember, but it's a famous one. There are some, and yeah, I mean, it's a fine line sometimes, and that, I mean, I don't agree. There's a lot of art out there that I don't like.
Yeah.
We've talked about the in the MoMA in San Francisco. I don't know if it's still there. It was years ago. Um, there's a huge white panel. It's easily 12 feet tall, if not higher, and it's easily 18, 20 feet long, maybe even more. I don't know, but it's huge. It's like this. It's a big movie screen basically, and it's just painted in white. And they paid they paid a million, crazy amount of money for this thing. I'm like, well, I think the hardest thing about this was creating the canvas, because it's like, this is not art. I mean,
But in that same space, and like I said, I got it. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, even though I might have even been slightly, I won't say jealous, but I wish I had come up with the idea. But one of the greatest pop artists was known for literally giving us pictures of soup cans. So Andy Warhol,
right,
yeah,
right.
it was a picture of a soup can, and basically he's like, "Here's this is my art," and I'm going like, "But it's a soup can," and it was like
When
the
I was
name
in New
brand. I think
York,
it's terrible.
I when I was in New York several years ago, we went to a museum and there was a whole room. Okay, so this is New York, so space is very, very important, right? There's a whole room full of this one artist, and all it was color blocks. So there was a block of blue, there was a block of orange, there was a block of white, there was a block of yellow, and different shapes, and he put them together. And I just was like, yeah, I can do this. And again, he got paid tons of money. And I'm like, I'm looking at that going, dang, I want that guy's marketing department,
No, not only that, I
because
interviewed.
his marketing department was genius. I'm
And
gonna
this is,
I'm gonna pay
sometimes
this
it's not just the marketing department. I
10
interviewed
minutes to do the whole thing.
No, I interviewed a local artist here in the Durham area, and he literally made a decent amount of money. Not a great amount. I mean, he's still a quote unquote struggling artist, but one of his biggest exhibits was literally what would be considered found art or trash art. So he literally found a bunch of trash items and turned it into a display. Now he did have to put it into some sort of creative configuration to make it look more artistic, but a lot of it was just stuff that you could have found at your local dump, whether that's in California where you are or North Carolina where I am. And I think you found it on the road and everything. So, like I said, one man's art is another
I knew a
man's.
lady who took palm fronds. She would go out and she would find palm fronds, and then she would, after they come down, and she turned those into art. She made the most beautiful cards.
Mhm.
And she took her art, she made pictures, and then she took the pictures and she sold cards from them. But they were absolutely stunning. So it really is about, there's beauty all around us, everywhere. There's beauty that we take for granted that we're not looking at. When you go outside, every blade of grass, every flower, every tree. If you really go outside and look at this beautiful thing behind us.
Yeah,
Oh, all
that's
these
actually, I
trees,
think, from
flowers,
Kew
and
Gardens.
everything has beauty. We miss the beauty in ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Because we look at ourselves even, and oh, I've got some wrinkles here, and I need to lose whatever I need to lose, and
But,
oh, I think my hair is awful today because this little part over here is flatter than it normally is.
that
And
you look,
most people don't even see that stuff. We're so used to tearing ourselves
but
down.
today, you look wonderful as you always do. But that being said, and all along those lines, I want to come back to the art since we're having a discussion about art on this particular episode of The Color Whisperer. But there was a very popular style of art that was very popular, and I think that a lot of people can be admired in this particular style of art that I'm getting ready to mention. But there was a time frame that a lot of the models were what would be described as Rubenesque, and now people are saying that that is another form of saying that they were overweight or fat, and or along those lines. But at the time, it was considered the norm, and it was definitely the norm
Well,
of the
it
artist.
wasn't necessarily considered the norm, but during that time period, the rich
Mhm.
were often larger,
Mhm.
Rubenesque, but
Right,
it was a sign of wealth.
right,
It was a sign of wealth. And because the poor people didn't have enough food.
right,
There wasn't a lot of middle in the middle. It was you had food, you didn't have food.
right.
And so in my healing stuff I do, this is something interesting that comes up too. I did some healing on somebody, and um, she was having issues with being overweight. And what came up was in a past life, she was very wealthy. And that was something that was a show of wealth.
Mhm.
And her soul was like, oh, we need to recreate this. In this time period, it's not.
Right.
And so it's but we had to clear that block for her in order to be able to release the weight.
Mhm. That makes
So it was really about, it was a show of having plenty. Like if you look at Versailles, um, there's a ton of windows in Versailles. At the time, people were taxed by how many windows they had.
oh,
There was another time people were taxed by how many doors they had in their house. So, or how many rooms they had in their house. So that's why, and you go to Europe, you're going to see a lot of places that don't have any closets because that was considered a room. And even a bathroom would have been considered a room. And so in today's world, whatever, there would be a bathroom no matter what, but you don't have a lot of closets because that was considered a room and that was more taxable.
yeah.
There was a time when it was all doors. So over here, there's a place called there's at the Arboretum, Huntington, was he was one of the people that came up with the idea of shipping oranges from California back east, and he built this beautiful house, and there's only two actual doors to the house.
Right.
There's a front door and there's a back door.
Right.
And but what he did was he has this big, beautiful entertaining room, and there's windows, and they're very tall windows, and they go up into the ceiling, and you can walk through them. It's flat, you can walk through them. So people found ways to get around these rules. So when Versailles was built, it wasn't just how many windows, but all of those little window panes. So when you walk up to Versailles, it is meant to impress you completely because of how many window panes. So you might have, we call them lights now, but you might have a door with like 10 lights on it. A lot of French doors have the little 10 lights on it, right? So you were taxed for every single one of those. Now he was the king. He didn't, he's taxed to himself, right? It didn't matter. But what he wanted was to impress everybody that came there because that was a clear sign of wealth.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Just really quickly, did you talk about outside and the windows and everything? And I was just wondering, because I don't think I've ever asked you this before, but are you a big fan? Because I know a long time ago when I used to go regularly, or at least for at least a few years down to Florida, there were even some nightclubs that were open. And when I mean open, I mean literally you would look up into the skylights while you were getting your dance groove on, which would be nice, except for if it was a rainy day. And I do know that there are some apartments that are very much have those, and I actually find them very appealing sometimes. Those kind of like sky roofs that you're able to see outside of the weather and all along those lines. But I just wondered your thoughts around bringing some of nature in, whether it's an open roof or whether it's a sky light or something that allows the sky window that allows you to see it if you've got a house of that sort. It doesn't necessarily work in an apartment unless you're in the top apartment and they agree to it and everything. But I just wondering your take on skylights.
We always want to bring nature in. Skylights is a great way. It adds a lot of natural daylight to a space, which can cut down your electricity bills. It can also cut down on your heating bills and so not your heating. Yeah, your heating bills. I've seen some condos where they have little atriums in the middle of them, yes, which is a great way to bring that light in. And a lot of the Spanish style houses will have an inner courtyard. Yes. And that's another way that they'll do that. A lot of times too, I've seen this many times where they'll take the master of the primary bathroom, and they will put a garden outside of the bathtub, and that brings the outdoor in and still provides privacy. So there's a lot of different ways that you can bring the outside in, and it's good for your health on so many levels. Good for your mindset. It makes you happy, right? So, well, we've had quite a varied show today.
Yeah, a varied show. I thought we'd end with something that we started off with, since you brought it up, and you brought up the fact that we didn't have one. So since we're having the show, and you brought up the folks, I figured we'd have a laughing goat.
Oh dear. That's funny.
Yes, a friend of mine sent me that. He's actually I want to say in northeastern part of the country. I think that if I remember correctly, he's in Rhode Island. I don't think he's in Vermont. I think that Tim Sohn is in Rhode Island, if I remember correctly, and all along those lines. But definitely, he sent me that. He sent it to some other friends of mine and his that are in social media. But yeah, he sent that, and I've had it now for a while. So he gave me a chance to have the laughing goat go off, and we'll have it go off one more time if I can remember how to press the button and all along those lines. But yes, the laughing goat is having his moments. I think you need a good laugh. You're talking about laughing yoga.
Laughing yoga started, so you can go do that. So the key with the laughing yoga is you want to do it for like 10, 15 minutes. It's not just ha, ha, ha. You want to really do it. The longer you can do it, the more joy you're infusing in you, the more you're purging a lot of those negative things. So on that note, let's go be joyful today, and we'll do that with some Kendo Spice, because
it'll good.
Joy in your phone.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin. Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can-Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can-Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can-Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can-Do Spice a try.